Hello everyone, I am Charul Phoria. Today we'll be discussing about course Mental Health and Wellbeing. I'll be covering Module 11, Stress Management and Strategy. Lecture 1 will include understanding the stress and its impact on mental health. So what exactly is stress? Stress is a natural response, both physiological and psychological, to a situation we perceive as challenging or threatening. It is our body's way of perceiving to deal with demands and manage it. The common type of stressors include exams, deadlines, and life changes. It can lead to chronic health issues such as heart diseases, depression, immune suppression, as well as later on lead to lack of concentration and in experiencing depression. Recognizing the stress helps in managing it effectively and improving the overall well-being of an individual. So, general adaptation syndrome model was given by Hans. It describes the body's physiological response to stress. It is described in 3 stages. The first stage is alarm stage. This is the initial reaction to a stressor. Hormones like adrenaline and cortisol are released. This leads to flight and fight response from an individual. Physiological changes include increased heart rate, heightened senses, and energy surge. The purpose of this stage is to prepare the body to either confront or flee from the threat. The second stage is resistance stage. In this, the body adapts to the ongoing stressor. Stress hormonal levels may stabilize, but it remains elevated. The body tries to return to normal functioning while staying alert. If the stress continues, the body remains in a state of arousal, using up all the energy and resources that an individual has. The third stage is exhaustion stage. It occurs after prolonged and chronic stress when the body's resources start getting depleted. The ability to resist is lost. It can lead to burnout, illness, or even immunosuppression. Symptoms like fatigue, depression, anxiety are very common in this stage. So let's take an example regarding low grade in midterms related while explaining the gas. So in first stage, if a person, for example, if a student fails the midterm exam, right, in the alarm stage, the first reaction of a person would be self-doubt after failing the course, feeling anxious, feeling panicked about it, and it can lead to physical changes in a person like increased heartbeat, tensed muscles, difficulty in sleeping, and the person can have thoughts like, I can't believe I did this badly. What if I fail the course? So, which might lead to immediate response from the person's side that they'll start studying more. They might talk to their professor about it and figure out a way to deal with it. So, if we come to the second stage, in this example where the student is failing the midterm, in the resistance stage, the student commits to improving the performance. They might start studying harder, might increase their study timings, they might start cutting on the social activities. So, constant pressure is there to perform better in the future. So, in order to deal with the demand of the situation where they have to study more, they might start sacrificing their sleep. The caffeine intake might increase and they might overschedule their study sessions over time. So, in order to push them, because on a daily basis they are not able to cope with the situation, they might push through the exhaustion to keep up with the academic goals that they have set for themselves in order to do better. This might lead to mental state of they are motivated as well as exhausted and frustrated mentally. The third stage is exhaustion stage. Despite the efforts of the student see only small amount of improvement and feels the pressure isn't letting up. The symptoms they might experience is mental fatigue, difficulty in concentration, they might experience burnout. And with time, on an emotional level, they might start feeling demotivated, feeling like giving up, feeling hopeless that they won't be able to perform as much as they are wanting to. So, in order to cope with it, because of the emotional exhaustion, they might end up skipping classes, procrastinating, or disengaging completely from everything. So, the long term risk of this might be academic probation, mental health struggles, or dropping out from the course. So, now we'll be discussing the types of stress a person can experience. First is acute stress. This is the most common form of stress and it is short term in nature. It's your body's immediate response to the tension or challenge that you experience, like the nervousness that you feel before giving a presentation or speaking in front of large group of people. While it can be uncomfortable, but acute stress usually fades away with time quickly as soon as you are able to deal with the situation. Second is chronic stress. This type of stress lasts for a longer period and it often builds after ongoing stress that a person is not able to cope with, like continuous academic workload without having any breaks in between, or having family issues, or having financial problems that one after the other a person is not able to deal with it. Unlike acute stress, chronic stress can wear you down over time and it is associated with serious health concerns such as anxiety, sleep issue, insomnia, heart diseases, if it is not managed on a regular basis or timely. Third is eustress and distress. So overall, no stress as a whole is harmful. Eustress is a positive kind of stress. It motivates you and helps you grow. For example, if you're preparing for a big exam and you're starting a new job, it can be stressful, but at the same time, it is very exciting. At the same time, it can have a productive experience for a person. On the other hand, distress is a negative stress where you're able to not manage the demand of the situation and you end up getting overwhelmed by it, like feeling repetitively after making an effort also, or having difficulty resolving a conflict that has arisen. So it can lead to burnout over time. So what are the kind of effects a stress can have on you as a person? So there are biological effects as well as psychological effects. On a biological level, the impact can be on cardiovascular system, where there is increased blood pressure because of high level of tension. It can lead to hypertension in an individual and at the later stage, heart diseases. The immunity of an individual decreases over time and the individual is more prone to feeling sick or falling ill as they move forward because they get more vulnerable to all the illnesses, whether it is physical, whether it is psychological in nature. At the same time, neurotransmitters that affects our mood, that affects the motivation of a person, that affects how much arousal or active you are on a mental level, like serotonin, dopamine, norepinephrine, they gets influenced, which in turn can influence the level of cognitive processing that a person is having. It can lead to many issues of stomach like constipation or having difficulty eating on time, feeling nausea in the long run. Now, the psychological effects of stress can be either defined as short term or on a long term basis. On a short term basis, because the processing of an individual slows down, so it can lead to lack of concentration. Lack of concentration leads to not being able to remember things, right? Like because you're not able to retain the information that is there. You might feel more nervous easily. Because of the emotional impact, the irritability is more. There is more mood swings happening in an individual. A person can feel nausea. They can also have sleep and appetite disturbances. So the long-term effects of stress can be anxiety, depression, And in order to cope with, because the coping mechanism of the individual decreases. So in order to cope with it, the person might end up engaging in substance consumption, which can lead to diseases like addiction in the long run. There can be increased mental health disorders, poor memory, difficulty in focusing in the long run, as well as mood swings. So, what are the types of academic stresses that a person can experience over time? It can be related to assignments, exams. There can be deadlines that can trigger stress in an individual. So, few of the common academic stresses can be time management. So, this is one of the major that can be frequently seen source of academic pressure in a student. They struggle with overcommitting to multiple responsibilities, which leads to procrastination. At the same time, they have difficulty prioritizing tasks. For example, a student is juggling between coursework, part-time job, as well as extracurricular activity. They might find it hard to allocate time for the studies or the assignments on time, leading to last-minute cramming or stress. Now, the second type of academic stress that can be experienced is performance pressure. The fear of failure and the pressure to meet high expectation, whether they have set them for themselves or whether it is set by other people around them. It can be very overwhelming. Even high performing students can feel the strain, especially if they tie their self-worth to the academic success only. For instance, aiming for the perfect grade every semester without any room for error can lead to chronic stress and anxiety in a person. Now, the third could be peer competition. In the competitive academic settings, students often end up comparing themselves with their peers. This can lead to feeling of inadequacy, especially when others seem to achieve more or handle things in a better manner. A student may feel discouraged at times if they are not able to score well and aren't as involved as other people around them are, even if they are trying to put a genuine effort in the same. So, what are the psychological consequences of academic stress? It can lead to poor grades. It can overwhelm the people. The student might start procrastinating because the motivation level decreases over time. They are not able to concentrate well, because of which they won't be able to retain the information that they are reading despite spending hours on it. It might lead to excessive worry in a person, which might in the long run impact their coping. It might lead to loss of interest, feeling very lethargic over time because their mood starts feeling sad with time. In the long run, if it keeps on continuing, it can lead to consistent burnout, which leads to reduced academic efficiency from the person. Now, stress and emotional well-being. So, stress and emotional health are very much interrelated to each other. There are chronic stress can trigger many of the psychological illnesses like anxiety or depression. The people can experience difficulty regulating their emotions under stress. So, the way they are connected to each other is the elevated cortisol affects the brain region like amygdala. Amygdala is a key in processing emotions like fear and anxiety, and it becomes very hyperactive during stress, which intensifies the emotional responses from the person. It can lead to heightened vigilance as well as increased emotional reactivity to a situation. At the same time, cortisol affects the prefrontal cortex part of the brain. So, prefrontal cortex regulates our emotions, it regulates the decision making, and it affects the impulse control of a person. So, the chronic stress a person experiences impairs its functioning. As a result, emotional regulation weakens, making it harder for a person to manage their reaction whenever they are under stress. So, resilience and stress management. Resilience is an ability of an individual to adapt and cope with stress. Capacity of an individual to bounce back and recover from difficult situations. Resilience can involve emotional, cognitive, and behavioral processes. It can be developed, strengthened over time through various strategies such as positive thinking, social support, and self care. So, what are the kind of coping strategies that a person can utilize in order to manage the daily stress that they experience? First is time management. Organizing tasks, planning a schedule, setting prioritize, and breaking the large task into smaller and manageable parts help a person manage their time. Second is seeking support. Talking to people that you trust, having social connections serves as a buffer against stress by offering support and reducing feeling of isolation. Third is mindfulness and relaxation techniques. Training your brain to stay in the present and reduce emotional reactivity can help an individual deal with the stress. So various kind of mindfulness and relaxation can be deep breathing, meditation, body scan, progressive muscle relaxation, to name a few. The fourth can be lifestyle modification. Engaging in regular physical activity, having a nutritious balanced diet, and adequate amount of sleep can reduce the stress to a greater extent. Now, cognitive restructuring. Challenging the negative thought that a person experiences can be really helpful. Like, for example, if a person is thinking that I always fail under pressure. So, while trying to change the thought, or you can question it or replace it with a thought that is more realistic in nature, that I have faced many challenges in life and I have been able to overcome them so far. The last can be, but not the least, the peer support program that can be there in the community setting that can help individual move forward in their life while managing their stress effectively. So the conclusion is stress involves physiological and psychological responses to challenges. The chronic stress experienced by an individual can lead to impact on physical health as well as impact on their mental well-being in the long run. Academic stress can be managed with time if appropriate strategies are used by students. Building emotional resilience and seeking support on time is very important on long-term basis. Recognizing the stressors, recognizing the key areas where a person is having difficulty early can be very effective to improve the outcome. So these are the few references that you can go through where you can find the material. Thank you.